Yes, we're back with another rider, another episode. Today we are honoured to have a ex-wedding planner in the house. But ladies, if you do need a wedding planned, I'm sure she can come out of retirement for you. And guys, if you're planning on proposing, maybe this is the lady to get her number. But still, without further ado, Ailsa, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So, how long was you in the business for, and why wedding planning?
I was probably in the business for about 4 years. Went around various different types of venues. So I did hotels, I did dry hire venues as well.
What's dry hire venues?
So a dry hire is where you basically just hire a venue exclusively, and then you would hire things like caterers and florists and everything else externally, and they all come to one venue. It's a lot more expensive, but like I say, you get exclusive use. So you don't necessarily have like a restaurant attached to it like you would at a hotel.
Like you could hire Covent Garden and have
essentially,
a marquee up and
exactly that. Yeah. So your catering is separate, or your tablecloths, your flowers are separate, and it's a different way of doing it. But everything's much more specialised. So the caterers are very, very good at what they do, because that's all they do every single day is very big, large weddings. So our dry hire venue was for 350 people. So very large weddings. We usually did a lot of Indian and Asian weddings that would last over a week long.
So you're getting paid for that, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And so yes, we would exclusively hire out the venue for just purely for that wedding.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's good. What have you ever had any weddings from hell? Like when the bride doesn't turn up, or there's a scene, you slept with my sister.
No, not necessarily drama like that, but we did have. I had a groomzilla.
What's that?
It's like a bridezilla, but the groom, and he was very demanding.
Wait a minute. When you say groom, you mean someone who's just
literally like
a female, like that plays the woman's role in like the way she stereotypically
stereotypically a bridezilla is someone who's very
just complains about everything,
yes,
makes the scene.
yeah.
It's her day. She's going to throw all the temper tantrums she wants.
Yeah.
Everyone should put up with.
Whereas
it.
I had it the opposite, and it was the groom who was like that. And the lead up to the wedding, he would call me nearly every day. He would never speak to any of my colleagues who could answer any of his very basic questions. He would only speak to me. But he was fine and nice on the phone and everything. And then the day came itself, and I did more than my contracted hours for that day. Normally I was there about 9 to 5, and I would hand over to the operations team. I did 8 till I think about midnight that day. No thanks. I tried to go up to him and explain or ask him a question, and he was like, nope, leave me alone. What on earth are you doing? He was very, very rude, and it was just like night and day, from the lead up being this very nice, charming person with all these questions to being someone who was very rude and almost looked down on me on the day, and it was awful.
How did you handle it?
How did I handle it?
I hope you billed him for those extra hours.
I did not. That particular job was not based on commission, so I didn't get any extra money for that one. But you just sort of have to rise above it. You just sort of have to say,
really?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm representing the hotel at the time, so if I didn't, and if he would have been the kind of person to leave an awful review, so I didn't want to make a bad situation worse. So yeah, I just said okay, fine, and just sort of had to make a decision on the question I was asking him, or whatever it was that I needed, and just say, oh, this is what I think should be needed.
So he's a chameleon.
Yeah, he was an interesting character.
So in future, how would you handle that?
I think I'm a bit more resilient now. I don't necessarily let people like that bother me as much. Back when I was doing weddings, I was fresh out of university, and I was very probably young and naive a little bit, and I was just yes all the time, happy, fluffy, this is weddings, this is great. But also you need to be this is a business deal. I need money out of you, you're paying us for a service, and I don't think I had that. Whereas now, I think probably a little bit better at it, but also that was one of the reasons why I left the wedding industry. So I now work in television, so it's a very different world, I think.
So did the company say to you, you've worked all these hours, why are we not getting paid extra for it?
No.
They must have known how many hours you worked.
They probably did. I think also in their eyes, I was volunteering to do those hours. They very much said, you can do 9 to 5 if you, but
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, 9 to 5, but if you do anything extra, it's on you.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And that particular wedding, I just really wanted it to go well because he was so demanding and I knew he had such high standards. So, yeah.
If you have high standards, you should have a big wallet.
That's the theory, yes.
Yeah, you should do. Nothing
Yeah.
comes for free, man.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So when you said you went to uni, what did you study in uni?
I did event and festival management.
Oh, so this was just up your alley then?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
we'd learned everything from crowd management to ticket touting to policies to everything. We met people from various different festivals. We went to different countries. We went to Venice for Venice Carnival.
I even know they had a carnival.
They do. They have this sort of like masked
Oh, the
carnival every year.
masquerade.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, I suppose that is a carnival, isn't it?
Yeah. So we went over and we spoke to the organisers of that and how they deal with like a big party that's in a city and how they deal with their crowds and managing, people who get too rowdy or whether it's, police involvement and things like that and how they do it really. So it was an interesting degree.
So it sounds very, very practical.
Very practical, yes. You've got to have a common sense in that industry. So it's not necessarily for everyone. Whereas I'm not the kind of person who's very academic. I'm not very good at like maths and science and things like that. But common sense, I've got buckets loads of it. So weddings or the job I do now, you need that for.
Mm-hmm.
So can't do without it.
I hear you. We call it streetwise.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I am from outside London. So I live in Berkshire.
Berkshire.
Yeah, in a little town called Bracknell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was a typical day like for you when you was doing your wedding plan? And I ask you this because some young person's listening to this who wants to go down the route that you're going, so
Yeah.
you're giving them that insight.
Yeah. I mean, my day, again, depending on the venue that I'm at, there are different ways of having a wedding coordinator or a wedding planner. You can have wedding planners that you hire yourself sort of privately, and they will help from everything from literally going with you to a florist to picking out your font of wedding invitations to helping you with a guest list and everything. They do all the details. Or you have a wedding coordinator that comes with the venue that you've hired who will do more of the pre-planning for the operations. So whether it's making sure you get your menu tasting booked in, which the hotel then provide the meals, whether it's ensuring we have things like enough tables and cutlery and things like that you don't necessarily have to worry about. It's coordinating with your florist, with your table dressers on the day of what time that they can get into the venue. So there's different levels of wedding coordination that people can hire. For me, when I was working at hotels, it was the latter, and I would just check in with all my brides and make sure they were happy, see if they had any questions, see what the next part of their payment schedule was at, if they were due to owe us money, or if they were due to say book in their menu tasting, for example, or anything like that. So there's different stages depending on what you're at, but I would have up to about 10 weddings that I was managing all at one go.
Really?
Yeah. But then that's spread around a whole year, so that's not necessarily 10 weddings in a day, but that's 10 weddings say throughout a year
question.
they're all at different stages.
How long does it take from when someone comes to you and say they want their wedding to
The
the
day.
date on average?
Average, maybe 9 months.
9 months. So you put up with that guy calling you for 9 months?
I think he was actually a year and a half, but yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, I'd have said, listen, my friend, we're going to need to talk about the bills. If you want to be calling me this time, I'll tell you that. Are you married?
I am not married.
So you're going to be the most reasonable person at your wedding?
Kind of, yes.
Or are you going to say, I'm going to unleash the fury?
I definitely see it's kind of a hazard though, because when I go to people's weddings, I am always looking at, the server served me from the wrong side, or that's not what I would have picked, or this isn't very good, this chair wobbles, and I look at all these details that I probably wouldn't necessarily have seen if I wasn't a wedding planner.
Do you give pointers to your friends who are getting married? Like,
No,
you don't?
I don't. Or if they ask for them, then yes. But if they don't, I don't, because I don't want them to feel that pressure if they don't need it. If they think that they are happy in their day, it's their day. It's not for me to take over and say what I do and don't want to do, or what I would suggest they do. It's up to them. They know I'm there if they want the help. And like I say, I can give suggestions, but it's their day. So I've had various different weddings. One of my friends did an exceptional wedding. She thought of everything, even things that I hadn't even thought of, and it was just amazing. And she thought of all these tiny little details, but then she also realised coming out of it on the other side, it took up so much of her time that then when the wedding was done, she was a bit like, oh, now what? I need a project. So you have two flip sides of it. You can do the most phenomenal wedding and have all this focus and all this time to focus on a project and then come out of it on the other side, or you can be very chill about it and let other people do the job for you, but you have to let go of that control.
I hear you.
So different ways of doing it.
What have you learned from that industry that you wish you knew when you had started?
Oh, that's a very good question. Probably not one thing. I mean, it's people, isn't it? It's learning people. It's learning that you can't please everyone. I say this to all my brides, whether it's your food or who you invite, you cannot please everyone, so do not try. So I definitely think that's probably one thing I learned.
And we're coming to the end of our journey. You've been a great guest.
Thank you.
Do you still do, like, was it contracted wedding things, or do you just
I
knock
don't
it on the head?
anymore. So I have left the wedding industry and I now work in television.
Okay, which is another interview for another ride.
Another day.
Well, thanks a lot for that,
You're very welcome.
and we wish you well.
Thank you.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.